because they do grade it. They do grade it. They do grade it. I've seen them. Oh my gosh. How's it going? So prepare for a rant. So if you don't want to see a rant, then I guess this video is not for you. But oh, I'm so annoyed right now. Dealing with this trash. It just makes no sense. It really makes no sense. First of all, what am I talking about? CGC first tried to, I'm going to say steal money, loosely, steal money from us. It's so dumb. Just everything involved in this is so stupid. They're a grading company. So what I have here is All New Comics. It's a little tiny book, All New Comics 15. It's, as you can see, this is like a normal backer board. So this is a tiny little comic. And you might be wondering, why is it tiny? It's black and white. Let me tell you about this book. This, if you guys don't know what the Gerber rating is for comic books, it's, I think, 80s or 90s. This guy, I think his last name is Gerber, came out and tried to photograph, like, I think every comic book so people would know what comics looks like. Before the internet, people didn't know what like maybe an action number 1, but try an action number 5. How would you even know what an action comics number 5 looked like? Or an action comics, 99. They didn't. So he tried to photograph everything. And then based off of his knowledge, he gave a scarcity rating. This is a 10. And that is the highest grade that you can give it for scarcity, meaning how rare it is. That means this is extremely, extremely, extremely rare. Like, literally, if you think of any other book, like an action number 1, that's probably like a 5 out of 10. This is a 10. This is like the rarest they come, is this book right here. So I'm painting this picture here. This is extremely rare. Now, they had 3 of these. Now you're on 3 of what? This is published by Harvey. It's a publication, no longer exists. But anyways, during this time, which has been around the mid-40s, they had a paper shortage. And so on the newsstands, when you go buy your comic books, like Superman, Green Lantern, all that kind of stuff, Wonder Woman, they decided that there's too much. So these newspaper companies that would have these newsstands, or just people that had the newsstands in general, didn't want to carry so much because there's tons of comics out there. So they started deciding not to carry certain ones. So 3 of these exist. Boy Explorers number 2, All New 15, and Stuntman something exists. And those are issues or titles that Harvey was going to cancel anyways, but already had it ready to go. And now these newsstands weren't going to carry them anymore because there's paper shortage and all this kind of stuff. So they decided that for their last issue, since they're canceling anyways, it'd be for subscribers only. So basically you had to mail away to get this. And yeah, so they're extremely rare. Very, very hard to come by. All of them are rare, but this is the rarest. The other ones are like Gerber 8. So pretty rare, but not as rare as this one. Yeah, so not only is it super rare, but CGC refuses to grade it. Why? I have no idea. And the crazy thing is, I send this away. I pay $100 and whatever dollars it is to get it graded because it's very expensive. And they send it back to me in this little nice thing saying rejected. Rejected why? We don't do these. We don't do these. You don't do what? A comic book? Aren't you a comic grading company? Isn't that what you stand for? And you don't do these. You don't grade this comic book. Why? Why don't you grade this comic book? It's a comic book. And the funny thing is, yes, you do grade them because, as you can see, there's the Boy Explorers number 2, which is the same size from the same company during the same time. And the way you got it was a subscription, just like this one. And you graded 3 of those. 3 of those, but you won't grade this one? Why? You know what they said? I emailed them, and first of all, I was like, why did you charge me? This is where the stealing of the money comes in. I go, why did you charge me when you didn't grade it? I'm paying for you to grade it. You don't grade it, so don't charge me. And then they said, okay, we'll give you, either you can have a refund or you can just have it on your next order. And I'm like, okay, so if I never reached out to you, you'd never given me the money back? How many other people has that happened to, where all of a sudden they get charged on their card and they get something back and, maybe they didn't notice and CGC just kept the money? It's like, I send it away for a service. You don't do the service. You should give me my money back. And this You are a comic book grading service. Grade this book. You've already graded 3 of them. I don't know what they're talking about. I asked the customer service. I talked to the head grader, one of them. I'm sure there's lots of them. And we don't do those books. Because why? Because it's too hard to authenticate. That's your job. That's why I, the customer, pay you to authenticate it. It's a comic book. It's not like, first of all, there's a few have been sold before. Obviously the one I have, but there's been others that have been sold. So, and there's others like this. Maybe not as rare as this one in particular, but like this. So you obviously graded that one. Why is that one able to grade? And you're able to authenticate that one. 3 of them have been graded the Boy Explorer. None of the Stuntman, none of this one. So you're able to authenticate that one, which is the exact same as this one for the most part, but you can't authenticate this one. That's your job. Your job is to go out there and go, why? Okay, how are we going to authenticate this one? Let's do the research. So when one does finally pop up, we know what to do with it. Or if one does pop up and you weren't aware of it, maybe you should let's do some research and figure out so we can put this in a case. Oh. And they did this to me before. There's a comic called Deadline, #1, first appearance of Tank Girl. We send it in. It's a magazine size. We send it in because it's from the UK. We send it in, they send us back, and they're like, sorry, it's too big, we don't grade this. And we literally had to show them like 50 different ones on eBay. Why are all these other ones on eBay graded? And then we showed them the census. You clearly do because you have like 75 on the census. And they're like, oh, sorry, send it back. I'm like, who are we even talking to? Like, your comic book grading company, any comic that comes through, as long as because I've been told before, if it fits in the case, we will grade it. This fits in the case. You're a comic book grading company. That is your job, to grade this comic book. I don't understand why it's so difficult to look at this and figure out what's going on. So yes, I got my money back, but I don't know why I had to ask for it. It should have just been automatic, like, hey, we didn't grade it, so give me money back. So dumb. I mean, I sent stuff to PSA. They do grade cards, and they didn't grade a certain card. I had a Wayne Gretzky rookie card, and they wouldn't grade it because they couldn't tell if it was trimmed or not. That is your job. It's a Wayne Gretzky rookie card. It's not like a rare card. There's lots of them out there. And you couldn't tell if it's trimmed or not. That's your job. Like, I don't understand. That's like going to McDonald's and they don't know how to make a hamburger. They're like, well, I don't know how to make that hamburger. I'm sorry. I ordered a #1, a Big Mac. You don't know how to make a Big Mac? I'm sorry. Like, I just couldn't believe that. So, but at least PSA, they sent me back the card and they didn't charge me. So at least that's there. But I was just so dumbfounded. So I had to send the card to, send it to a different company and they graded it just fine. Because, duh, that's what you do. So, as you guys know, my dad works at CBCS. So I texted the image of this and sent it to him like, can you guys grade this? And he's like, as long as it's authentic, yeah, we'll grade it. And they're like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to. If it's authentic, yeah, they'll grade it. They don't want to grade counterfeit, although the CGC and CBCS do grade certain counterfeit ones, and they just label as counterfeit. Like ones that come to mind is Gobbledygook 1 and 2, Cerebus #1. There's counterfeits of those, things like that. But it's beyond me. Like, I don't really care about, like, the money thing's just annoying that I had to like ask for it back. But the annoying part is I had to send this and then they just send it back saying they don't grade it. You are a grading company. Grade it. I'm sorry that you've never seen it before or it's rare. Is that what you do? I've never seen it before. Let's get rid of it. Well, if you had that kind of mentality, then most comics would be graded because there are many, many rare comics. I have never held an Action #1 in my hand. I've seen them in cases at Comic-Cons, things like that, but I never held one. So that's like me saying, I get an Action 1. I have no idea if this is authentic or not, but get rid of it. It's just beyond me. Because they do grade it. They do grade it. They do grade it. I've seen them. Oh my gosh. And I even pointed that out. I emailed them. I'm like, you graded this one? And they're like, I'm not even joking. This is what they said. Because at first, I sent in the email. When I sent them the email, I was like, look, why am I being charged for this? And why aren't you grading it when you grade a similar one. And here's the link that goes to Heritage. They ignore that part where I say, there's another one that you did grade. Why didn't you grade mine? And so then I had to do a follow-up email, because they're like, oh, sorry, we'll give you your money back and blah, blah. And I'm like, perfect, that's fine. But again, you didn't answer my question. Why did you grade this one but not mine? And then finally they respond back and they're like, well, it didn't really make any sense. It's like, that was graded before the times that we decided to grade these. So they graded them back in the day. I don't know when they had all of a sudden this deadline that they're like, we're not going to grade those anymore. I'm like, they're super rare. So it's not like they're coming through your shop all the time. It's not like you're getting a Spider-Man 300, where I'm sure you get one almost every day or something like that. They're pretty rare, even the other ones. But once again, you've probably never even seen this one before, or maybe one of them. But the other ones, there's probably when I say rare, I mean there's probably less than 3 that exist of this. The other ones, there's probably about 10 that exist of them. So how many have actually gone through CGC? Maybe a couple, of the other ones. And yet they've graded 3 of the Boys Explorer number 2, which is the same as this. Same company, same design, small, all that stuff. And yet they're like, oh, we have some magical cutoff that we decided not to grade them anymore. Why don't you just say that your head grader doesn't know anything about this book and doesn't know what to do? And so it's easier for him just to not grade it than to deal with the little bit of research it would take to figure out what this is. And you'd think at a job you'd want to, if you're a comic grading company, if something came through your door in the last 20 years that you haven't seen, you'd find that very interesting and you'd want to know all about it, because that's what you do. I have a heart attack. Yeah, I just don't. The stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, we decided at some point that we don't grade them anymore. And I would love to be in this board meeting. Hey, this was this question by this head grader that, he keeps on getting a lot of these types of books, these subscription books from Harvey that are smaller, and he doesn't know if he can authenticate them. And so he's been wanting to stop grading them because it's too risky. Talking to the board, what do you guys think? So, oh yeah, we should do it. No. You barely ever get these at all, so it would never come up. I guarantee you the head grader probably never seen this before. And the other ones that did get graded, it probably wasn't the same head grader that graded them. So, and you guys have multiple head graders. Talk to all of them. Yeah. So this will be going to CBCS. So go down to CBCS. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah. So that's what I'm dealing with. I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's just beyond me that it's a comic book. Number 15. Now, number 1 through 14 were normal golden age comic books. There's only this one that they made it smaller. Number 1, like I said, the paper thing. There's a shortage on paper, so less paper, using less ink. The newsstands weren't going to take them anyways. They're trying to only hold the more popular titles because there's all these random titles and random books that weren't selling. They're going to cancel it anyways because it wasn't selling. And so they're like, oh, well, we have the artwork and everything already done. We might as well just make it, and because we already paid for it, and we'll do subscription only, mail-in type of thing, which obviously no one used, so they threw them all away. The only reason these survived is it wasn't really in the hands of a consumer and they survived. It was Harvey was pretty good with doing file copies, so these were filed away. And this just happens to be the rarest. So yeah, I would like it in a case, and I would like it protected. Let me know in the comments below if something like this has happened to you, where they refuse to grade something for some stupid reason, and I guarantee you if I send this in, maybe it will get graded by someone. I don't know. I don't know what kind of system they have over there. It's just a very poor system. I was talking to my brother about it. I'm like, I don't understand how these companies are worth so much and this have such fundamentals that are broken. Anyways, let me know in comments below if something like this has happened to you. Have a great day.